Hey, Indian Creek 8th grade students, it's Professor Blazek, and I'd like to welcome you to the second installment of our Road to a 4 video series looking at your social issues essay. Now, in this video, we're going to be looking at the research step of the writing process and the time when you're going to learn more about your essay topic. So let's go ahead and let's jump right in. Now, in order to write a strong argument about any topic, you have to become an expert in that topic. And the way that you do that is by researching your topic. And you want to make sure that you're using credible sources only when you're doing your research. This means no Wikipedia, because Wikipedia is, although it's gotten better, it's still not 100% reliable because anybody from around the world can still edit it. And so instead, you want to use primarily .org, .edu, or .gov websites, as well as news articles and other similar reliable sources. By only using credible sources for your research, this makes the information that you're providing and the ideas that you're talking about much, much stronger. So only be looking to use credible sources from your research. Now, in your packet, when you're doing your research, you're going to fill out research cards for every source that you're planning to use information from in your essay. And when you're filling out these research cards, you're going to need to, first of all, copy and paste the web address of your resource. You're going to need to give the article or website title, as well as the name of the author. And you will give this in last name, comma, first name format. Then mark down any direct quotations or paraphrases that you're going to use in your essay, because this will show you exactly what information is coming from which source. It's going to make your life a whole lot easier as we move forward with writing this essay. In addition, take notes on how these quotations and paraphrases relate to your topic, because again, just in the name of making your life easier going forward, you will already have started to plan out how you're going to explain your topic or how you're going to make your argument using your sources in this early research stage, which will make coming up with your outline and rough draft much, much easier in the future. So these are the different things that you're going to need to put on the research cards in your research packet. Now, here is an example research card, and you can see that at the very top, I have copy and pasted the web address to an article that is titled, "It's Creativity, Not Money, That Stands in the Way of Paying NCAA Athletes." This is an article written by a woman named Nancy R. Moore, and you can see that I have one quote and one paraphrase that I want to use from this article in my essay. And then towards the bottom, I have notes on how this relates to my topic, saying that college athletes are bringing in bountiful amounts of money for their schools, that adults who are in college sports get paid a ton, and that by comparison, college athletes should at least get some of that money because of the value and time that they're putting into their athletic endeavors. So you can see that, again, all this information is in detail. I've got my quote and quotation marks. I have already made some ideas for how I'm going to use the information from this article in my essay. This is what you want to make sure that you do when you're filling out your different research cards. Now, when you find a potential source, when you're online doing your searching and looking through different articles and websites, make sure that you feel a source is credible before you begin using the source's information. This will save you a lot of time in the long run and will prevent you from spending a lot of time on a source that you later realize you can't trust to use information from. So keep in mind the type of site and the purpose that it has been created for. So is it a site that was meant to educate and inform its readers? Is it just some crazy guy from the middle of nowhere writing a blog? Because you never really want to use anything that he has to say because it's not trustworthy at all. Or you might see articles or sites that are designed to only present one side of an issue. And the danger in using these sources is that they often will spin facts and present information that is not 100% true, but has instead been changed to prove their points and argue their side. So when you're looking for potential sources, you want to try and stick as much as possible to those that you feel are meant to educate and inform. These are the most reliable sources and will give you the best information about your topic. Now, also keep in mind the objectivity of a potential source. And objectivity is a fancy way of saying balance. So, kind of similar to what we talked about before, is the information presented showing both sides of an issue? Is it well-rounded? Or is it really only showing one side of an issue? You want to make sure that you're using sources that are balanced, that show the actual facts, and just have a lot of objectivity in presenting its information. And then finally, you also want to use sources that are both reliable and current. So are the authors or companies putting out these sources trustworthy? And is this information relatively recent? You know, if you are looking from early 90s or even before that in news articles, that information is probably going to be pretty different from the information that is true today. So when you're looking at sources, make sure that you're using sources that are relatively current. Obviously, you're not going to find everything within the last 6 months or last year, but you want to do your best to find sources that are relatively recent. Now, remember that you need to find at least 3 sources that you're going to use information from. And the reason that this is a requirement is that more sources means more support, and it shows that more people agree with you. So even if you're doing your research and you find an awesome source that you say, I could cover everything that I need from this source, go ahead and find at least 2 additional sources, because this makes your argument much more well-rounded and shows that you've put the time into learning this information, and also that there are more people who support what you have to say. Now, when you're going through your research, you can use either quotes or paraphrases from your sources in your essay. And the difference between these 2 options is that a quote is a direct word-for-word quotation from a source, and it's put in quotation marks, whereas a paraphrase is your own summary of a section of your source. It's the same idea, but you're putting it in your own words, and therefore you don't need to use quotation marks. Now, you give your source credit for either a quote or paraphrase, but there's just a bit of variety in how you present the information from your sources in your essay. So in looking at an example section from the article that I highlighted before, you can see that in a direct quote, I'm copying the information from my source word for word and putting it in quotation marks. On the other hand, if I use a paraphrase, I keep the same idea, but I put the information in my own words. And when you're doing your research and when you're writing your essay, try to keep a balance between quotes and paraphrases. The strongest writing is not just going to use direct quotes. It's not just going to paraphrase what its sources say. It's going to keep a balance between the 2. So just something to keep in mind as you're doing your research going forward. And then one final note is that some articles will provide you relevant links or cite other articles that might help you in your own research. So a lot of times there will be a sources page or a additional links section in a website or an article. Look through these, because these can be great places to find additional information that will help you out. So again, just something to keep in mind when you're doing your research. And then once you have found your 3 sources, you've gotten your information, your quotes, your paraphrases, you have completed step 2 of our writing process. So great job. The next step, step 3, will be to work on an excellent thesis statement, and I will be back soon with the video showing you how exactly you can do that. So until next time, this has been Professor Blazek signing off.